Hi there, my name is Fix Fox, and welcome back to Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. Today, we are going to tier rank the heroes that you will find in the Necropolis faction. We're going to try and put them in something of a coherent list from one relative strength to the other. And you might ask yourself, Fix Fox, is it too soon to be doing a tier ranking video for anything related to Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era? To which I reply, yes, absolutely. It's way too soon to be doing any kind of tinkering with this because the developers are still working on the game. We are not yet even into early access. That's going to release in 2026. But with the information we currently have for the demo, it's fun and interesting and informative to go through these heroes, take a look at what they do, and figure out where they might fall in comparison one to the other. Starting off, we're going to have the hero Adahn. So starting off with all of the heroes that have any sort of unit speciality. For Adahn, it's the tier 2 creature, the Wight. He and other heroes will have increased stats for the unit that they command. That's going to be increased speed, that's going to be increased initiative, and an additional 20% hit points. Not to mention base growth of the creatures is going to be increased in all of the cities under your command for that particular unit. Not a small thing, a very non-inconsequential thing is that the damage and the attack skill, the defense skill will scale into the late game as well. As your hero becomes more proficient, so too will their command be over these creatures. Okay. So then the question for Adahn is, well, you are the tier 2 Wight creature specialist. How good are Wights? And I gotta tell you, they are much more improved over the Heroes 3 version, in my opinion. So the Heroes 3 version of the Wights, they would regenerate up to full hit points at the beginning of their turn. They would steal some spell points from the enemy. They flew. They weren't a bad unit, but they're a little bit of an afterthought. Wights in Olden Era are closer to the Heroes of Might and Magic 2 Ghost unit than anything, because as they do damage and as they kind of reap the souls from their unfortunate victims, their stack will get stronger. Now, the stack will not persist after the end of the battle. You're not going to be able to raise additional Wights past a certain number that you came into the battle with, but you will have a bit of something of like a meat shield and additional damage and additional stats to the stack of Wights. It's not uncommon to have 400 Wights in the final battle here in Olden Era. So it's a good unit, flying unit, has some nice utility with it, good tankiness in general. So really, this is a early game, neutral creature clearing sort of force, and also in the late game, a force to be reckoned with. So Adahn will start with 3 stacks of the Wights, and also important to note that they have basic insight. I think that we are still figuring out, and I'm not sure that the developers are going to keep experience gains and growth in the same state it currently is, but I think that we're figuring out that starting off with the secondary skill Basic Insight for an additional 20% XP is actually really good, because if we're talking about that late game fantasy where it's single hero mode and 3 months into it, you and your enemy are going to clash with these massive amount of forces, the 20% bonus XP over time does tend to make a big difference. So Adahn is kind of set up for the late game. Got some early game value, and they also come with the silence spell. This is going to make it so that the target is not able to use abilities or generate focus points. Better against heroes than neutral creatures. All in all, where's that going to land Adahn? For me, Adahn is going to be in this I can make this work sort of section here. For my tier ranking, I have at the very, very top, hey, you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong with this hero. They're going to be quality every single time. Very consistent, very good. Right below that is a fine choice. Lots of heroes are a very fine choice, you know, better than average and high quality in and of themselves. You're not gonna be sad if you find them in a tavern or you automatically roll them as your hero. Below that we have I can make this work. This says, hey, this is a good hero, serviceable, nice, not a problem, good, happy to have him. Yeah, good. Below that we have tough to use. These are for the forces that I think that they're underpowered or weak, or they just don't quite fit into the Necropolis meta that I'm sure is going to crop up at some point. And then below that is just simply, hey, Fix Fox needs more information. So right now, Adahn is going to go right into the very middle. I can make this work. Adahn, welcome to the tier ranking. Next up, we have Artorius Veritas. This guy is definitely a vampire. If you look at this guy is 100% a vampire. And he starts off with the Masterful Berserk spell. Now, there's the Berserk spell that we're all fairly familiar with, cast upon a single target enemy, and they are going to immediately and uncontrollably attack the closest random target within their attack radius, whether friend or foe. With the Masterful Berserk spell, you can now make this an AoE targeting spell. AoE. This is the reason that you take fire magic in Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is so you can get the AoE Berserk spell off. I think that this is going to be not only fun to play around with, but tactically excellent. Good against weird neutral creature stacks, good in the late game. I think that this is going to be a really fun hero to play with. And even if it's not the most tactically advantageous, I think that this spell is exceptional. Folks, where is this going to put Artorius Veritas in this tier ranking? Right to the top. You can't go wrong. You start off with the Berserk spell. I love the Berserk spell. We're gonna stick with that. We're gonna stick with that. A little bit one-dimensional, you know, doesn't have all of the tactical advantages in the world. Definitely is not going to have the stats late game, but being able to have this masterful cast of the Berserk, I think it's going to be really good. Try to make sure that you have a very, very high initiative creature in your army so that when you fight the final enemy, you're going to get to go first and you're going to get this masterful Berserk off. Okay, moving on, we have Bulwark. So the antithesis, perhaps, of Artorius is Bulwark. In this sense, Artorius is all about this really flashy spell that's going to have a major impact, very, very good. It would be really easy to overlook Bulwark and how good they're going to be. Because you say, what? Creatures in the army take negative 10% basic attack damage? That's not that good. Sure, it scales up a little bit, but it's not that good. I could see people saying that. When you look at the numbers, and when we're talking about late game armies, and we're talking about, you know, 700 skeletons and 400 wights and 120 undead pets and so on and so forth, like, this adds up very quickly. Anybody that has used the armor speciality from Heroes of Might and Magic 3 with, say, Tazar or Neela, you tend to understand how impactful this can be to prevent damage onto your forces, which is a better stat, attack skill or defense skill. And in general, I mean, it depends on the situation, of course, but eventually you are going to get hit. And if you must get hit, keeping your forces on the battlefield to do damage for a longer time is always going to be useful for you. So Bulwark is going to be an exceptional choice into the late game. They're going to scale and your forces are going to be unstoppable juggernauts. Bulwark is going to be a late game bully. Bulwark is going to be exceptionally good. Worth noting, very important to note, they start off with a negative 10% damage modifier to melee damage taken from enemy creatures. That's just innate within Bulwark. And then they also start off with the basic defense secondary skill. So they actually start off with taking negative 20% damage from basic attacks from the very, very first day. And then the fact that it scales up so nicely, not only with basic attacks from melee damage, but also from ranged and long reach attacks. I think Bulwark is going to be, for me, is going to be in this can't go wrong stage. Now, for now, this is very important. For now, I'm going to put them in a very fine choice. I think that they are going to consistently be the very top of the can't go wrong because it's a passive ability. You can't go wrong. You can't possibly mess up your turn. You can mess up the Berserk. You can mess up using a Berserk spell. There's some skill involved there. You really can't mess up having lots and lots of attack damage modifiers. So for now, Bulwark is going to be in this a fine choice, but they are maybe at the very tail end of can't go wrong. I think that they're going to be an exceptional hero. One of the best. The only reason that they're not in can't go wrong is because I think that there are some exceptional heroes above them as well. Folks, we've also got a new hero here who might be above Bulwark. This is going to be Ethric. Ethric is something of a Lich themselves, and the Lich unit and the Lich commander really is critical for this reason. I think that Liches are the linchpin of the Necropolis army. I think that the Liches are able to very, very well handle a lot of different issues that might arise on the battlefield. They're not a specialized creature in any one way. They are able to kind of spread their influence in many domains on the battlefield, and a bit of a catch-all unit, just high quality, all-around good unit. So, of course, you're going to get the additional stats here with the Liches in the late game. You're going to start off with a couple of Liches in the early game here with Ethric, and they are going to be able to use the rewind time ability to prevent losses. You're going to be able to help clear the adventure map exceptionally well. Early game, they're good. Late game, they're going to be really, really nice, and you're going to be spending a lot of focus points on these Liches. When it comes down to that alone, I think that that is going to be at least a very fine choice for Ethric. But then I take a look at some of the other secondary skills, and Ethric is going to start off with Basic Intelligence. Basic Intelligence is an S tier secondary skill. Basic Intelligence is not only going to increase the amount of spell points that you have, it is also going to allow you to learn spells without having the corresponding school of magic. So if you want to learn tiers 3, 4, and 5 magic from the Daylight School of Magic, you need Daylight Magic, unless you have Expert Intelligence, in which case you can learn all spells regardless of their school of magic. This is exceptionally powerful. I think starting off with Basic Intelligence is really good, really high quality, and it sure doesn't hurt that Ethric also starts off with a really cool spell. That's going to be the Shade Cloak spell, where target friendly creatures can't be targeted until the end of the round. This is a great hero all around. The Liches alone would make this a very fine choice. And then given everything else, I think that Ethric is going to be a can't go wrong hero. I think Ethric is going to be really, really fun to play around with. Next up, we have Funerella. Let's just kind of get the jokes out of the way. Funerella, your name is Funerella. What? I can imagine the devs were like, we got to name this hero. What do we call her? Death, Death March, Dying, Funeral, Fun, Funerella. Hey, there you go, Funerella. I imagine that it was not quite exactly how that went, but still, it makes me laugh because the name is just a little bit silly to me. But as silly as the name might be, the ability is exceptional. Important to note, there are 2 heroes that have the increased or amplified necromancy power speciality, and Funerella is one of them. So she is the variety that is of a spellcasters. For the Necropolis faction, you have Death Knights that are might-based heroes and will increase their stats with attack and defense as they level up. And then for Funerella, she is of the Necromancer sort of persuasion, where she's going to get additional spell power and knowledge. So it's nice to know you're going to have a choice with your Necropolis and Necromancy specialized sort of force, but she is going to be of the spellcasting variety. Starts off with these okay units. She's going to increase at base level her necromancy power by 5%. 5% additional forces are going to be brought to the army after the battle is concluded, and plus 1% more for every 4 hero levels. She is going to be one of the abilities, one of the heroes that can get you a massive, overwhelming snowball effect force. But in previous Heroes games, Heroes 2 and 3, and maybe some of the other ones, Necromancy brought back skeletons from the dead, and you had a big skeleton snowball stack. In Olden Era, Necromancy is a little bit different. So she starts off with this advanced Necromancy, and it reads as such: a percentage of defeated enemies' hit points is converted into allied undead hit points after each victory. This adds new units to all existing undead stacks and doesn't create new ones. So it adds new units to existing stacks. It doesn't say skeletons. It doesn't say only skeletons. It will add creatures to your skeletons, to your wights, to your undead pets, to your Graverobbers, to your Liches, to your Dread Knights, to your vampires. All of these creatures will benefit from the Necromancy power up, making Necromancy maybe more powerful than it has been in other previous iterations. I love this. I love this. So she's a good hero. Great hero? I think so. I think so. And we'll end up talking about the other hero that is kind of her counterpart in a little bit. But folks, where's this going to land her? She's going to go into the can't go wrong tier. Necromancy, I think, is going to be so very good. I think that you cannot go wrong with Funerella. You go, girl. Next up, we got Grandmaster Klastor. I got to tell you, from here on out, I'm going to call this guy Mixmaster Mike. I don't know why, but he's putting off DJ vibes for me. He's just kind of like, Mixmaster Mike, Grandmaster, Guildmaster Klastor. No. From here on out, he's officially Mixmaster Mike for FixFox. So he is going to be the hero specialist for the Graverobbers. Graverobbers are a really nice unit. I really do enjoy them. They have the long reach attack, so they can avoid retaliations. They have some summoning abilities, whether they are the base level Graverobbers or as you upgrade them. So I don't think I really understood how good Graverobbers were when I first started playing Olden Era. And as I've spent more time with the game, I think that there is, unlike other factions, not as much competition for the Necropolis faction for focus charge points. I think that other factions, it would be easy to say, oh, a simple summon is not going to be worth my time. I think the Graverobbers are so efficient with their summons that summoning creatures with them is worth the focus charge points. And that makes them exceptionally powerful. Whether you're raising skeletons from the dead or wights or the undead pets, yeah, I think that Graverobbers are a really good unit. And in the early game, they're going to be really good kind of moving around the adventure map. You're going to have 12 to 14 of them doing damage, clearing out things. And Guildmaster Klastor, Mixmaster Mike, has basic luck. Luck is a really good stat for the undead because they don't benefit at all from morale. They can't get negative morale, sure, but they also can't get positive morale. And so luck is the other sort of damage modifier, or that kind of like X factor, that extra little it factor. Their units actually do exceptionally well with luck. Luck for the undead is really nice to have. And so Guildmaster Klastor, I think that he is going to be an exceptional choice. Is he going to be all the way up into the can't go wrong tier or below that? Folks, for me, he's going to go into this I can make this work sort of section. He doesn't quite make it into the fine choice, but I do like the Graverobbers. I do like them. Hopefully this isn't you saying, FixFox, I thought that you said that these were awesome creatures and that you really liked luck and all this stuff. It's all true. I can make this work. I think that he's going to be very, very solidly in this sort of tier. Next up, we have Kel'Ghul. Kel'Ghul is going to be the Dread Knight focus hero. He has a nice ability to increase the value of the Dread Knights, and I think that a lot of people are sleeping on how good the Dread Knights are. I think that due to their art style, some people are looking at them saying, they're just not really my thing. I don't really love them that much. I think that they are a very highly offensively geared unit, capable of doing lots of damage and carrying a lot of fights for you. Vampires are going to tend to get focused down. It may be that you focus on your Dread Knight stacks, go for Vampire Scholars, and then use the Dread Knights to really carry your fights for you. If that's the case, Kel'Ghul could be exceptional. Now, starting off with 2 to 3 of the Dread Knights, clearing the early game adventure map, they can do a pretty good job of that. Not my favorite force to do that with, but they're all right for that. And then Kel'Ghul does have basic tactics as a secondary skill. Where's he going to land in this tier ranking? He's going to be solidly in the I can make this work stage. Have you noticed that FixFox, with the exception of Ethric, tends to have these hero specialist creatures or hero creature specialist forces kind of be in this I can make this work? I don't tend to value these nearly so much. I imagine that other players do value them much more. But really, especially when I'm looking at the secondary skills and the spells that kind of come with these heroes, for now, this is exactly where I want these to be for myself in this tier ranking video. Next up, we have the hero King of Kings. King of Kings is kind of a bit of a problem for me. I am happy to say that I don't know everything that there is to know about Olden Era just yet. I think that we are still finding empirical data. I think that we are still finding anecdotal evidence. I think that we're still trying to figure out the game as a group, right? And maybe I am completely missing the point of King of Kings, but it seems counterintuitive to me that you have a diplomacy specialist hero in the Necropolis faction. Wouldn't you prefer to use your high necromancy skill to incorporate the living into your army as the dead, steal their calcium, as it were, and create your own army from scratch? That tends to feel like the strategy that works best in Heroes 2 and 3 and beyond, but here we have this diplomacy specialist. Now, he does have the extra ability where he will keep his army if he flees a battle from neutral squads, and what that means is that you can take a big army and fight over here, and then you can run and you can rehire King of Kings and get his entire army back at a castle all the way across the adventure map. Like, you can do some poor man's fast travel there if you don't have access to town gate yet or town portal. But diplomacy, persuasion, maybe I'm missing something here. It's probably not going to be a very difficult thing to incorporate like a group of phoenixes or like abyssal envoys or high tiered creatures into your army. By avoiding some fights, you can save your army even better. Maybe King of Kings is better than I'm giving him credit for, but having the basic diplomacy as a starting secondary skill, I don't get it. And so I'm going to need somebody else to help me out with this. He's going to go into this tough to use section for me. Just tough to use. I'm sure that there's a strategy out there. Give me more information. Let me know in the comment section what you think about King of Kings and how he can be most effectively used. Next up, we have the hero Laura. Laura is a necromancer spellcaster variety, and she starts off with the Masterful Despair spell. Masterful Despair, kind of interesting here, and there's a bit of a conversation to be had between spells that do their damage up front, like a lightning bolt or an Armageddon or Haven. Anything that does damage generally is, I click the button, the enemy takes damage, they lose their forces, and we're done. Like, end of transaction. That's it. Masterful Despair is a spell that will curse a target enemy, and they will take damage at the start of their turn over time. And you can stack this spell so it gets increasingly high numbers and damage and things like that. but it's damage over time, essentially. Okay, all right. Well, her speciality is going to allow this to be Masterful Dispel, or Masterful Despair, so that enemies are going to take double damage, like 100% bonus damage. And if you get Despair leveled up to tier 4, you do have like a little AoE pocket. You can affect a creature in the very center, and then all of the adjacent squares, any enemies caught in there, will also take damage from the spell. But clever positioning, smart positioning is going to avoid that from being a problem. So how good exactly is Laura going to be? Here's my problem, is that I just don't know yet. I have not seen her reach her full potential. I need to see Laura in a late game scenario trying to use this special ability. I got reason to believe that it's not going to be as good as I would hope, but I need more information. I need to see what she's capable of. I don't think I can adequately make a good decision on her right now. So for now, Laura is going to go into the I need more information sort of tier. Next up, we have Lord Rufus. Lord Rufus is one of my favorites. First off, he always makes me think of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Rufus!
Rufus! Listen to this dude, Rufus. He knows what he's talking about.
Lord Rufus starts off with the Rewind Life spell, and at masterful level, which he commands, it will allow you to revive units beyond their original amount. So generally, if you have a stack of 100 skeletons, you can't do this Rewind Life spell above 100. If I have 99 skeletons out of 100, then I'm only going to go from 99 up to 100. You can't go up to 101 or 102, 103, etc., etc. With the Masterful Rewind Life spell, you will be able to exceed the cap, and while those forces will not persist with you after the end of the battle, they're still going to be very useful right then and there. You can have one single Lich in your army, and you can cast Masterful Rewind Life on them, and all of a sudden you can have 10 or 20 Liches, depending on your spell power, ready to rock and roll, and the enemy's going to say, whoa, this is not what I signed up for. This spell is already a great spell. The Rewind Life spell, already top tier, and the ability to not waste any amount of it and even generate forces for a battle. I think that Rufus is going to be awesome. I think he's going to be not just good, but amazing. He does start off, by the way, with one of the S tier secondary skills in the game. I consider basic Thaumaturgy to be top tier. It's the secondary skill that allows you to cast 2 spells per round of combat. I'm glad that he starts off with that. He also, again, starts off with the Rewind Life. Folks, where's he going to land in this ranking? It's to the very top for me. Lord Rufus, I think I can't go wrong with you. Again, kind of like with Artorius, I do believe that this is playing on one note. In the late game, would you rather have Bulwark or this special spell? I think that you'd still rather have Bulwark. I really do. But it's just fun to play around. It's cool to play around with. I think that you can do some really nifty things. You can be unkillable. This is the Thant from Heroes of Might and Magic 3 in some ways with the Animate Dead. Lord Rufus, for now, I'm putting you in the can't go wrong tier, although I do recognize that in the late game scenario, I think I'd rather have Bulwark, but fun does matter as well. Fun also matters as far as which heroes we take. Next up, we have Mog. Mog, the hero, is a nifty kind of guy. First off, can I just say that he's my favorite Necropolis hero? He just looks super cool, kind of ghostly, and just I like him. Looks cool. He is going to be the Arcane School of Magic specialist, so all arcane spells are going to be cast at a higher effectiveness for him. He is going to have this ability with his arcane magic to cast Impending Fate. Impending Fate that he starts off with, this spell is going to cause all enemy creatures to take damage relative to their tier. So if it is going to do 10 damage at base level per tier, then a stack of troglodytes, for example, at tier 1, they're going to take 10 damage. As you go up into, say, the Medusa, right, a tier 5 creature, they are going to take 50 damage. So the scaling damage on this spell is going to differ depending on what creature is affected, what level they are. But this is kind of like mixing a little bit, kind of like mixing the best of like a Holy Word, Holy Shout spell, and a Death Ripple or a Death Wave. It's just going to do damage to the enemy every single stack, and that does have some serious value in the early game for clearing out early game fights. By the way, basic arcane magic, where do I personally rank it? It's probably about the 3rd best school of magic in my opinion. It's got some really nice spells in there, and I think that in the top tiers, like in the tier 5 spells, there's some possibilities where my smooth brain can't quite grasp how to maybe effectively best use arcane magic, right? Reality distortion, looking at you. But Mog is going to be able to effectively use the School of Magic, and he will also prevent the enemy hero from casting any arcane spells. As we saw in the dungeon hero tier ranking video, this is a very fine choice for me. School of Magic specialists tend to rank pretty high for Fix Fox. So Mog, welcome to the club. You are a very fine choice. Oh, one more thing. Hold on. I almost forgot. There is a point where I considered putting him in the more information stage for this reason. I don't actually know. There's a phrase here that I don't know what it means, and I need more information. It says he will get +1 to all arcane spells, +1 more for every 10 hero levels, and can use it in battle without limits. And I'm not too sure what that means. I don't know quite what that means. I know for sure that there's, for example, we're going to get to Shadespinner Oona in a little bit, and she is the Nightshade magic specialist, and she starts off with the sleep spell. I thought maybe without limits means that, for example, with the sleep spell, I could cast it, and then I could cast it multiple times in combat, even though the sleep spell, traditionally, you can only cast it once per battle on a certain stack of creatures. I was wondering if maybe this was going to alleviate some of those limits for some of these spells. Maybe there's a certain arcane magic spell that has some drawbacks to it. I've tried to play around with this. I haven't figured out what this means. Folks, let me know. This section where it's talking about can use it in battle without limits, let me know exactly what that means to you, because I'm very interested to find out. But still, as it stands, I'm going to keep him for now. Very fine choice. Okay. Moving on, we have Marl. I like Marl. This creepy little weird guy. He is so ugly. And he starts off with the Masterful Web spell. Masterful Web. Web is one of my favorite spells. It will essentially be a slow, as you would find in other Heroes of Might and Magic games. But if you have the Masterful Web ability, it will affect the entire enemy army. Nobody else has access to that. Nobody else has access to a mass haste, or rather a mass slow spell. It's one of the reasons why Earth Magic is so highly valued in Heroes of Might and Magic 3, is the ability to completely shut down your opponents and make so that they have to crawl across the adventure map to get you. It's one of the reasons that you take Earth Magic, and it's highly favored. Here, I think that this Masterful Web spell is going to be quite similar, but again, like other spellcasting heroes, it is kind of one note. It's exceptional, it's great, it's lovely, I love it, but it is kind of one note. Other than that, though, if the spell is not enough to really determine whether or not Marl is an exceptional hero, do keep in mind that he starts off with Basic Logistics. It's pretty good. Basic Logistics, that's an S tier secondary skill right there. That alone is going to make sure that he goes up pretty high for me. Marl, where are you going to land? For now, you're going to be in this very fine choice, Sage. I would love for you to be higher, just because I love the idea of the mass web. But for now, I'm going to keep you in this very fine choice sort of section. Next up, we have Milossa the Golden. Milossa the Golden. This is going to be a hero that is focusing all on your economy. But I got to tell you, whereas in the dungeon hero tier ranking video, we put Klastor at the very top because he was the quintessential and most exceptional economy hero you had in the game, Milossa doesn't quite do what he does. So she will give you 500 extra gold per day, plus additional gold per level, plus any gold that she finds on the adventure map. She's going to get double the amount, or, well, 50% bonus the amount. But she does not start off with basic economy like Klastor does. So Klastor was essentially a free gold mine from day one. She's going to be less so. Still worth having. She's probably going to be a really nice secondary hero. I could see some people saying that they're going to take Milossa because they want to make sure that they are having a strong economy early on, and then they'll just pick up their primary secondary hero from the tavern. They'll just kind of roll the dice a little bit. I could see that, but really I think she's just the secondary hero who doesn't do the job of the economy nearly so well as other heroes do. By the way, she starts off with the basic battle magic secondary skill, where that will convert some amount of her spell power and knowledge into attack skill and defense for your army. And she also starts off with the Fatal Decay spell. That's the spell that will prevent troops being raised from the dead or having healing or rewind time affect them. So not a bad spell, but really not going to help you clear out the adventure map. Folks, where is Milossa the Golden going to land on this list? I'm sorry, my dear. But if you started off with basic economy, you would be in the I can make this work tab or higher. For now, you're just here and tough to use. Is basic economy that good when we're talking about a strong economy hero? Yeah, because if you get basic economy up to expert economy, you get +1 of your precious resources per day for your specific faction. That actually is a big deal to me. And not starting off with that possibility for her does move her way, way down in the rankings. Next up, we have Natalida. She's a vampire. She looks more bat-like than anything, and she's going to be the undead pet hero specialist. So starting off with anywhere between 21 to 30 undead pets is a lot of undead pets. That is a lot of undead pets. You can do a lot with that many undead pets. In fact, consider you can have maybe two stacks of 15 undead pets. You have a lot of single stacks of skeletons to take retaliations and kind of get in the way of the enemies. I think that she can clear the adventure map maybe better than Mixmaster Mike. She could probably clear the adventure map just as good or better than Kel'Ghul. I think that she's really good, but my problem is that the undead pets and their upgrades in tier 3, they are not as good as like the tier 4 upgrades are for the Graverobbers. Where's she going to go for me? Well, it's going to be a little bit lower because she also starts off with the basic scouting. With that as her secondary skill, she's not bad, but it just doesn't really do it for me. Not really an exciting pick. She's going to be kind of at the bottom of this. I can make this work. I can totally make it work. The creatures are great. Happy to have her in a tavern. Happy to borrow the troops from her. I just don't know if I want her to be my main hero. Next up, we have the hero Onkos. Onkos is going to be the final creature specialist hero. He is going to be your skeleton master. He's going to start off with the 3 stacks of the skeletons. It's going to be a bunch of skeletons he starts off with. And kind of like what we talked about with Kieran for the dungeon faction, starting off as the troglodyte hero specialist. By the way, shout out to Shakti. I forget who said it, but they said, "We hardly knew ye" from Heroes 3. Yeah. Onkos is going to maybe be high quality in the sense that, yeah, your skeletons, and you're going to have so many skeletons. Your skeletons are going to be of a higher variety. A stack of 700 skeletons, and they have an additional 20% HP. That could be, it depends. Oh, it depends. It depends on how many skeletons you get. This could be so good. I could even see a strategy where you get Onkos to have some really nice spells, and you fight fights with only skeletons, so all of your necromancy power goes into reviving you skeletons. I could see a situation where you just travel around with this one type of creature, so you can max out on the growth of skeletons, knowing that they're going to have 20% bonus HP, knowing that they're going to be faster, higher initiative, etc., etc. Interesting. I can't quite figure out how good this is going to be, but I'm excited to find out. By the way, he does start off with a basic offense spell, so friendly creatures' basic attacks are going to deal an additional 10% damage. This is all shaped up to be a good hero. What do we think? Where is he going to go? He's definitely, at least I can make this work. Is he going to be higher? I kind of want to say, like, a part of me wants to say that he's a very fine choice, but there's another part of me that says that my philosophy in these tier rankings is that the hero specialist creatures, with the exception of Ethric, are just not as good. I'm gonna stick with my philosophy, even if it damns me, even if other people think it's stupid. For now, I'm gonna keep him at the very top of I can make this work. But there's a lot of intrigue with this hero and how he could be exceptional if you devote all your time and strategy to him. Next up, we have Shadespinner Oona. So Shadespinner Oona is going to be the Nightshade specialist. She is going to get the additional levels as she goes about the game, casting these Nightshade spells. And she's, again, got that little tagline that I'm not sure what it means. And can use it in battle without limits. I don't really know what that is. So same conversation with more information needed versus being a very fine choice. The enemy not being able to cast Nightshade spells, pretty darn good. But when we're checking out her secondary skills, she starts off with the basic Nightshade magic. Excellent, great. And she starts off with the sleep spell. I love the sleep spell. I think that the sleep spell is a very nuanced approach to a complete lockdown sort of spell, like you would find with a blind, right? Something that would say, hey, sorry, you are incapacitated. This stack of creatures is not going anywhere. You're stuck, right? sleep does that. The enemy falls asleep and can't take any actions. But I love that in Olden Era, a slept creature can only be slept once per battle. And so after you've been affected by sleep once, if you are poked awake or if the duration of the spell expires, then that target creature cannot be slept again. I think that that's a really nice way of balancing how good this otherwise completely locked down spell would be. Shadespinner Oona, there are some really nice destructive magics in the Nightshade School of Magic. Where's she going to go for me? She's going to go up to a very fine choice. We'll rank all these in just 1 second within their tiers, but for now, Shadespinner Oona, welcome to the club. You are a very fine choice. Next up, we got an interesting hero, folks. There's a little bit of background lore here that I need to point out. This hero, Tarius, if you rearrange some of the letters, is going to potentially spell out Veritas. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Unfrozen Studios, the developer for Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, they've also come out with another game, which is Veritas Lord of the Dead. And I got to tell you, Tarius looks just like the Lord of the Dead from their other game. Bit of an Easter egg, I think, just maybe. And this is a whale of a hero. Whereas Funerella was a necromancer and went into spellcasting while having the necromancy bonus, Tarius, he has the might-based approach. As a Death Knight, Dread Knight, he will have the additional necromancy power, increasing the creatures in your army over time, and he's going to step into attack skill and defense skill at high rates. So I think that we talked about how good this was for Funerella, right? I think it's even better for a might-based hero to be able to get additional forces and then buff them up with increased attack and defense skill. Worth noting, he starts off with the advanced necromancy, so no other secondary skills, no other spells, just a flat 11% necromancy power at the very beginning of the game. Where's this guy going to go for me? He's going to go above Funerella for me for sure. So into the can't go wrong tier and above Funerella. That is my 2 cents on the matter. Next up, and lastly, folks, this is Zam. If you've never seen Zam before, then I need to introduce you to Heroes of Might and Magic 2. I love Zam, and I'm so happy he's back. I understand that the developers don't want to just do fan service left and right. They want Olden Era to stand on its own, and they say, well, we don't want to have the same old faces again and again and again. Yeah, I understand that you don't want to just fan service us to death. This is a nice touch. I really enjoy having a few familiar faces, and for the undead, it makes the very most sense to me because you're undead, you're not dying anytime soon. So even if this is the prequel to Heroes of Might and Magic 1 and 2 and 3 and beyond, you can absolutely have creatures that were around all the time. I do believe that we're planning on seeing Thant at some point in the future as well, BT dubs. Even though he's not a playable hero here, I got a feeling that he's going to come up later on. Anyway, but Zam is going to be another economy type of hero. He's going to produce 1 Mercury per day, plus additional Mercury as you level up. You need Mercury for your vampires, and yeah, a good secondary support hero. Not really your primary hero, right? Send this guy out to go collect stuff and let him be just like a free Mercury fisher for you. I like him though. I'm glad he's back. But is he going to be the ultimate leader of your forces? I don't believe so. Sir, you're going to be down here. Not down with Milossa the Golden, I don't think. I think that he's going to be... Can I make this work? Can I make this work? Or should I put this in tough to use? Due to faction laws and the ability to get additional Mercury through faction laws as early as tier 3, I don't think that this is as good as it otherwise would have been or could have been. I'm going to put this at the very top of tough to use. How about that? So with that, folks, this is my way too soon tier ranking video for all of the heroes that you're going to find in the Necropolis faction. I am looking very, very much forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions on how we did. As we're taking a look at this, worth noting again, where should all these creatures land? I'm going to put number 1, best hero in the faction. I'm going to put it as Tarius, whoever this guy is. I think he's going to be number 1 for me. I think Funerella is going to be below him, but not too far below him. I think that Ethric is actually going to be better there. I think that Berserk is going to be right under Funerella. Man, I really want to put Lord Rufus higher. The problem is that these are all good heroes. Anyway. For now, Lord Rufus is going to be at the bottom. Bulwark is at the very top of a fine choice. He should be up here. He should be up here. He really should. All right, tell you what, I talked myself into it. He's going to be up here. Okay. In fact, he's probably going to even be above these two heroes, if I'm being honest. My two specialist magic heroes and Marl, they're going to round out a very fine choice. I think that Nightshade's actually better than Arcane Magic, personally. So Oona is going to go above there, especially because she's got a better starting spell, I think. Mog, it does enjoy the impending fate, but not as much as sleep. Marl, I still like him, really nice. And then in the below that section, oh, I think it's going to go Mixmaster Mike in the second position right behind Onkos. I think that then I'm going to have Kel'Ghul, and then Adahn, and then Natalida. If I see it, Natalida, of these heroes, Onkos, Mixmaster Mike, Kel'Ghul, Adahn, and Natalida, which one would I rather find in a tavern on day one? I'd rather find Natalida. I think that the amount of forces you get from the undead pets is really exceptionally high. I think it's really high. So I'm going to put her there. Okay. Alrighty. And then I really like the tough to use section already. And folks, where will Laura fall in all this? I'm excited to find out. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about all this. Do me a favor, tear my list to shreds. Tell me why I don't know what I'm talking about, and give me reasoning why. Don't just say, hey, you're sucking, you're dumb. Don't just say, hey, you don't know what you're doing. Tell me why I don't know what I'm doing. Share the information, because at this point, this is a brand new game that isn't even out yet. So everybody's kind of new to the game, right? Let's share the information. Let's help each other be better. And I hope that you enjoyed this, folks. With that being said, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be playing Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era here in 2025. I'm excited for 2026 and beyond. So until I see you again, take very good care of yourself. Look after you, look after your friends, look after your family. And I'll see you around in the next one. Until that time, my name is FixFox, and I'm out. Thanks.